Hey, what's up, guys? Heretic you here, and today we're gonna do a little something different here. We're gonna be reviewing Robotech RPG Tactics, and you might be wondering why. Well, March 5th is when Robotech first aired on American TV, and so it's actually the 32nd anniversary of Robotech in some weird way, but really this is just an excuse. Friend of mine, big fan of the game, and I've been dying to actually try it out. So he's like, you know what? Let's put together 450 points for you, and he was going to show me, pretty much the entire game. So I thought I would. It's been a while, right? It's been a while since I sat down and did a video for you guys out there, and so I thought I would give my initial impressions, basically a review of Robotech Tactics. So yeah, let's get into it. So Robotech Tactics, right? That's pretty much, I'm one of the biggest Robotech fans there is. I think I said this before in another video, but it was pretty much the first quote-unquote anime that I discovered, and it kind of set me on my path to my otakuism, I guess. Yeah, sure. So if anyone was going to say, like this game, if they were going to design this game, you'd figure, they'd have me in mind. I'm a tabletop wargamer, and I like Robotech, so this has got to be a slam dunk, right? Right? Well, we're gonna go over the good and the bad. I'm gonna start with the bad, okay? Okay, so Robotech, the game, Robotech Tactics, and from now on I'm going to be mainly speaking about the game, not the anime. Basically is the Macross Saga, which is the United Earth Defense Force versus the invading Zentradi, a race of cloned aliens that are like freaking giants, and they were bred for only war. So those are your two factions. So the way they designed Zentradi was actually based on the show. In the show, they were bred for war. They're these giant alien dudes that's all they know how to do is fight. They're kind of like this. They're the invading force for the Robotech Masters. And there's a shit ton of them. So in the game, they have rules where, for example, it's called without number. So the basic infantry unit for the Zentradi would be the Gulag. The fuck am I talking? We'll just call them the battle pods, because I don't know, I'm gonna fuck up the names, and then you guys I'm gonna hear it in the comments, and yeah. So the basic battle pod, right? And they die pretty easily. Cool thing is, if they die within so many inches of a commanding battle pod, you get them back. So it represents this like ongoing wave of Zentradi, right? So that's pretty good. The problem is you need to balance out that kind of force. You need a wide variety of different models. Now they have, the commander battle pod. They've got some artillery battle pods, but that's about it. So you're basically left with a bunch of mooks that, I'll give you an example. One of the first activations I had was I had a squad of like 12 battle pods plus the commander plus this kind of support pod that gives you like +1 to your shooting. And we had to focus fire on not one unit, one Veritech fighter. And all those shots, I was not able to down it. That is how bad they are, right? But I mean, it makes sense. It's thematic. You're thinking, okay, but we need the Zentradi player. Basically, you're left with, okay, you have to focus fire like one model at a time, and that's your only tactic. Without any other type of model, the Zentradi side kind of suffers from just playing a swarm army, and there's no other way to play it. And to me, that leaves like the tactical options, limited. So my second thing is, for the Zentradi, one of the main mechanics of this game, right, is the command point system. Command points you use to do a number of things. For example, I could burn a command point to. Normally, you can only fire one weapon system, but you can use a command point to fire, a second weapon system. You can use it to dodge. You can use it to, roll off damage. Basically, take half damage by piloting maneuvers. So these are all very thematic and cool elements, and the command points are, although you get a lot of them. I think when I was playing my game, I had like 34 command points. They actually burn out quick, and even though they replenish every turn, the thing about command points is that, at least for the Zentradi, only things with leadership generate command points. Normally, it's like you get a command point for every mech on the field plus leadership, right? But for the Zentradi, it's only certain battle pods will actually give you command points, which means that you have giant Achilles heels on the table, right? And so you have to be very careful about where to position them, or they're just going to get shot down. Once they get shot down, it becomes impossible to come back from this game. So from the Zentradi standpoint, from one of the two factions available, that player has to really know his shit. He can't. There's a, I guess, the degree of difficulty, from, let's say, if you contrast the humans, the Earth Defense Force versus the Zentradi, it's a lot harder to play Zentradi. And for my demo game, I picked Zentradi, and even though I really enjoyed the game, I could see that one side was more forgiving in mistakes than the other, and I'm not sure how you fix that. Other than that, though, I mean, the game's pretty solid. My other complaint is probably a nitpicky one, which is I kind of wish there were a little bit more, I don't want to call them Easter eggs, but more kind of homages to the show. For example, they could have done very small things, like there are objective points in the game. Now, you could have called those like protoculture or whatever. I mean, that's kind of the resource of what fuels robotechnology. And so that would have been cool. It is nice that you can play the characters as special characters in the game. So you could play Rick, Max, Chiron, and Britai, and everybody like that. But again, there are small little homages that were missed. And like I said, I know it's nitpicky, but if you're just gonna call, freaking Max Sterling's, dodge move, just I forgot what it's called, like piloting, master piloting or something. You could have called it the Folk or Fake Out, which was something he referenced directly in the show, which he uses to, dodge missile attacks. That would have been awesome, okay? And so I don't know if the guys who wrote the rules were big fans of the show, but I think they've missed a couple of opportunities to, it's those little details that really sell a game to me. I don't know, and I just see some missed opportunities there. Again, it's a small thing, but we're starting with the negatives, so that is one of the negatives. Okay, so on to what I liked about the game. So one thing I really enjoyed was the models really capture the feel like of the show, and the way they did the Zentradi rules are pretty good. I like the idea of someone unloads a barrage of missiles and you're able to kind of gun all the missiles down with one shot. That helps with the, if you ever watch the show, there's just that show, they unload volleys of missiles, and sometimes the plot armor of the main characters, they're either able to dodge it or mostly dodge and roll. The game does give you that feel by using command points to kind of roll away from attacks and that sort of thing. So I think they did a really good job with the way the mechanics handle, like flight, for example. So one of the advantages of the United Earth Forces is that their Veritechs can take on different forms, and it's cool to see that there are rules for when it's in fighter mode, different rules when it's in guardian mode and battleoid mode, and it gives you some variety on how to handle certain situations. Obviously, if you're in fighter mode, you're a jet and you're flying super fast, and there are rules on how there's, like, for example, you have to go a certain number of inches and you can only turn so much, but whereas when you're in battleoid mode, you can shoot off more weapon systems and stuff like that. And when you're in guardian mode, which is kind of in between the full standing robot and the fighter jet, you have these hover rules. So they did a really good job in recreating combat in that universe, and it's especially cool when you play the Robotech music while you're playing, which we did, by the way, which was pretty awesome. The one thing I will warn people about, for you people who don't like to paint, this is the one game, I swear to God, that you really do need some way of marking your squads, and it's much more easier to paint them, because there's actually a difference with the commander. I mean, on the Zentradi side, it's somewhat easier because the commander battle pods look different, but for the United Earth Force, all the Veritechs basically look the same, and so the easiest way to differentiate is to have a color scheme. So, I mean, to me, that's a plus, because it makes you want to paint, and it just makes things easier, because each mech has a certain amount of hit points and stuff. So you have to keep track of it. Oh, that's probably another negative, but not too much of a negative to me, was there is a lot of bookkeeping in this game. You have to keep track. There are certain ammo types that are limited supply, like missiles, and then you've got like hit boxes on each of the mechs and that sort of thing. So there is bookkeeping, but if you played a game like Dystopian Wars or I don't know any other kind of vehicle based game, there's always going to be more bookkeeping in say your versus your like heroic skirmish games. Not a big deal, and I actually kind of like it because it allows you to kind of for the good guys it makes the Veritex, yeah, they're going to take a lot of hits, but they don't get to come back, and it's kind of nice. I think though they need to kind of tweak the number of hitboxes a Veritech has because they're really hard to down, at least for me. The fucking Zentradi dice, they roll like fucking crap, man. I swear to God, I rolled at least a dozen ones. But I mean, you're rolling a lot of dice in this game, which is another cool thing. It's been a while since I played a full on, not skirmish. This is like a big ass battle game, and you are rolling a lot of dice. And there's something about that when you're like, okay, now the battle pods they've got this rule right where they can kind of hop, and so there were some times where we had the artillery battle parts kind of like jump on a building and just unload missiles, and you can see that visualization. It's especially cool when the other guy says, okay, my anti-missile system blocks all your missiles, and you're like, it's pretty anime because you could kind of see like all the missiles exploding in midair and stuff in your mind. And so the game has some really solid mechanics like that. They're both thematic, and they just need some slight tweaking on the balance end, but overall it's really cool. So what is my final verdict on Robotech RPG Tactics? I'm going to give it a solid C+. And the reason why it got a C+ instead of a B is because, to be honest, this game's kind of has its issues outside of the game. For example, Wave 2 hasn't shipped yet, and it's been, 3 years? 3 years, people. So that means, realistically, will we ever see the other models? Will we see the female Zentradi power armor? Probably not. And that's a shame, because I think if they did come out with everything and really supported this game, I think it would have been a success. But, as a Robotech fan, I know this IP is cursed. There's something about it that just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't do well. The initial series did well, and then I don't know what happened with Shadow Chronicles was meh, and same thing with the Sentinels, and they've tried a number of things, and it's never really recaptured its former glory. And I was hoping as a fan that this game would kind of re-energize the fan base for Robotech, and I don't know if it's going to happen because people put money into the Kickstarter. They wanted this to work out, and it just looks like it's not going to happen. So we're kind of stuck with what we have, which is kind of an incomplete game, and it's really too bad because I think I could see myself, really getting into this, and I could see like maybe the Invid being a faction and the Robotech Masters, and then you could do like the Forces of the Southern Cross and all the Mospida guys, and just a lot of opportunities to make something really great here, and I just don't see it happening. So unfortunately, I think it's a great, solid game, and I think, I'm hoping the community can keep it going, and maybe through that support, maybe we'll see models, but I'm not. I'm going to remain cautiously skeptical that will happen. Anyways, it's been a while since I did a video, so I figure this was like the newest thing that I tried out. It's only 3 years late for this review, but whatevs. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.